I love this story in John chapter 4, and many of you know this, but Jesus goes into a region of Samaria, and there's a Samaritan woman that comes out. He's at a well. It's like at noonday. It's hot, and she's coming to get water, and he's there to get a drink, and he begins to have this dialogue with her, and for time I'll just abbreviate. He basically gives her a word of knowledge, and he says, "Woman, you've had 5 husbands, and you're now with the 6th man." And she goes, "Sir, I perceive you're a prophet." She only knew who she was talking to, right? And he carries us on, and let's pick this up in John 4:23 in particular. You guys doing all right? Remember, I'm talking about Lord, teach us to pray, looking at what we call the Lord's Prayer, and looking at different aspects of it. First element is worship and praise. So in John 4, so he gets into this dialogue with her, and she says, verse 20, "Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, and you Jews say that in Jerusalem is a place where one ought to worship." He says in verse 21, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews." Now he's talking about what would come with himself, the Messiah. Then he says, "But the hour," verse 23, "but the hour is coming, and now is when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit." Jesus was speaking to our day. He was speaking to when, after he would die on that cross, be raised, the Spirit poured out. He was speaking across the expanse of time, at a time when every person, everyone that had given their heart to Christ would come to this place where they could worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father is seeking such to worship him. Verse 24, "God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." And they go on and have this dialogue, and basically revival breaks out in that region because of the woman's testimony, right? You see, so God desires us to worship him in truth, and it begins with surrendering our life to him, but living a godly life and living according to his commands and living according to his word, and then going and being the people of God that he's called us to be, loving one another, loving other people, all of those things. And as we do that, that is pure worship in truth and spirit. And the Father blesses that. That's when revival in the Spirit begins to break out in churches. When we have a love for God, a love for one another, and we're walking in truth and sincerity with him. There is no compromise. There is no hypocrisy. That's true worship.